Irona, how long have you been in charge of our nursery for?
Probably about 12 years.
So lots of experience.
Yes, lots of experience. Yes.
And so I'm going to ask Irona some questions that people have emailed in, as well as questions that I know that parents have a tendency of asking us, which is both how the nursery normally functions as well as how it's going to be with the COVID restrictions.
Okay.
To give you an idea, and Irona's going to answer and be able to tell us a little bit more about Lucton School Nursery and how it all works. So the first question we often get is what is our nursery's ethos?
Well, I would say that the nursery ethos is really about the whole child. It's about making sure that we give them everything that they need in a caring and educational environment, and really to try and help them reach their full potential. Obviously, the way we try to look at this is really by watching the child, observing how they play and interact with other children, and then build around that really. So what we feel that would be helpful for that child, what sort of things they're interested in. And our ethos is about doing the best for that child and being able to allow them all the opportunities that we can offer them, so that whatever their potential is, we have maximised on that. Yeah.
Okay. So another question is I think it's common to all nurseries, but for parents who maybe haven't, it's their first child and they don't know much about nurseries, could you explain the key worker system?
Sorry, I didn't catch your...
Okay, so for parents who maybe it's their first child and they're coming into nursery and they don't know much about nurseries, could you explain how the key worker works at Lucton?
Yes, I can. So basically the key worker system means that when somebody brings a child to us, we allocate a member of staff to that child. So that member of staff then can build up a relationship with the parents and find out as much as they can about that child from the parents, and then, as I said before, observing the child, seeing how they play and how they grow and how they interact with other children and obviously the staff as well. And then the key worker then builds up a picture of that child, so that everything that we do for that child is tailor-made for the child. So the way we achieve this is by, as I said before, observing them, working with them, playing with them, and then seeing what we can do to help them to grow and develop. And then we keep a record of this, and we take lots of photographs and keep little pieces of work. So we build up a portfolio really of that child. And as they move through the nursery, so if they start with us as babies, they move through until, into the 4-year-old room, then we have built up a picture of that child and how they develop and how they're growing. And they even like to look back at the learning journey folder, which is what we call the folder that we use. So they can look back and they can see all the things that they did in the past. And I think it's good for them to have that little bit of history about themselves, so they can see how they've grown and developed themselves. So the key worker really is the person that mainly does the observations, although we do all help out, help each other out. And that is the person that really knows the most about that child and has the greater link with the parents. Yeah.
Okay. So how then in the nursery do you communicate with parents? How is communication maintained, especially if you've got busy parents?
Yes. Okay. Well, I was obviously, we do our best to communicate all of the time, and before the lockdown that was so much easier because we could have parents in the nursery that could talk to us on a day-to-day basis. We had meetings that we could set up for parents. We have like evening meetings or daytime meetings, obviously phone call and emails. However, now it is a little bit different, so we have had to think a little bit wider with this. and also the other thing that we used to do was like a little communication book that went home each day with the child. So now that is emailed to the parent, so we have to do that in a different way. And it is a two-way thing, so we can email the parents what the child's been doing that day and various things, and they can email back to us. But it's just finding other ways, and at the moment it tends to be email, it tends to be phone conversations and those sort of things, but it is fundamental to the way that we look after the children, just to have that link with parents all of the time, and we continue to do so, but obviously in a slightly more restricted way, but it doesn't mean that we have stopped communicating.
Sorry, Irona.
It's there's a lot of interference on the line, and your voice is breaking up.
Okay, it's also they're doing drilling next door.
Oh, right, okay.
I can edit that bit out, it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we'll go with the next question.
Okay.
Okay, so how often do the children move rooms, and how do the room changes affect the children emotionally?
Right, okay, so children will be allocated a room when they arrive with us based on their age, mainly. So if they come to us in the baby room, they will be in the baby room until their second birthday, when they then move to the little ladybirds room. As they get a little bit older, they move on again to the ladybirds room, and then when they're in their last year of nursery, they then move into the transition class. So obviously from the baby room up, if we feel that they are how do I put it, that their development is right, and it's all, you know, that we're not concerned about them moving up, they can move up a little bit earlier into the next group if we feel that it's the right thing, and that the parents feel it's the right thing. What we do is we maintain, if we do move them up a little bit early, we maintain the ratio that they would be normally on, the adult to child ratio, if they were in the baby room until their second birthday. When children move up through the rooms or the classrooms, basically the key worker in the room that they have been currently been in will then talk to the new key worker in the next room, and they have little taster days in that room, so we don't just suddenly one day in they go. We have a smooth transition, so everything we do is a smooth transition into the next room. So they might go in for the morning and then come back, and then we might invite the parents to come in and stay with them for a little while in that room. We invite the parents in, normally, obviously it would be done by a phone call now, to chat to the next key worker. So everything that we do is trying to be smooth, so that there's not a sudden jump from one stage to the next. So it's all about communication, and it's all about gently with the children. And we tend to know when they're ready as well.
So some of the parents, if we can't come and have a look around, might ask about our sort of facilities and setup. So could you describe what the nursery offers in the way of facilities and activities you'd be doing with the nursery children as well?
Yes, I'd love to. So when the children arrive in the morning, we have a routine that really sets the day. This routine it's nice for the children because it gives them a sense of stability, and they know where they are with things. However, it's not fixed in stone because it can be flexible. So they come in the morning and they all have a free play, just to settle them in. So we'll set the classrooms up or the garden up with various activities that we know will interest them. So for most of the rooms, we have little stations of different things going on. So we might have arts and craft area, we might have more of a maths area, like a messy play area. So there's lots of areas that we set up, and we change it regularly, so that every time they come in there's something new and fresh and exciting, or there's a little project on the go that they've been picking away at a while. I don't know, like building a castle or something, so they can keep going back to that. So that's how that works. The activities are built and the topic that we do is built around what the children are interested in. So if we start to notice that they're really interested in, I don't know, mini beasts in the garden, then we will bring that in as a topic, and we will do lots of things to do with that. So it could be, you know, baking ladybird biscuits, or it could be out in the woods exploring, lots and lots of different things. So that the activities we do are refreshed regularly, and they go along with what the children are interested in and what gives them that wow factor and that surprise. So that's how we work with the activities. Obviously, within that, we have lots of routine things that we have. So in transition, we swim every week in the indoor swim pool. We have PE every week with a PE teacher. We have music with the music teacher that comes in to visit us. Obviously, there's ballet available for children that want that. And there's forest school for all of them, really. So each week, you know, we're out in the woods doing different activities. So there's a lot of things going on in the nursery. The children bring in their own snack, and so they all sit and have snack time together. And the school kitchens provide the lunch for them. So that is a hot cooked meal, and generally speaking, 2-course, which the children will either eat in the nursery, or the older ones go down to the dining hall. Obviously, because of the COVID, there's a change with that. So at the moment, we're actually just eating up in the nursery. And at the moment, with the summertime, we're having some quite nice sort of packed lunches, which the children are really enjoying, with lots of fresh chopped vegetables and little sandwiches and things like that. So whatever we're doing, really, it's just a sense of fun for them, and we're always looking for that wow factor with children, that, you know, we can do something that just blows them, you know, their mind with excitement, really. So that's generally how our day tends to work.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been asked as well is how, for a lot of parents, they might only start their children in nursery at the sort of transition age to get them ready for school. One of the questions is how does nursery, and how particularly does Lucton Nursery, get their children ready for school in September?
Quite easily, actually. Well, I would say we do a lot of preparation for school anyway. So the children that come into transition class, they all wear a uniform. They all have a little book bag, which they take home every day. They start to do more things, and they're ready for them as well. So we do a lot of phonics, we do a lot of maths, we do a lot of science. We broaden their horizons a lot more in transition class. Obviously, we've been laying the foundations of that all the way through the nursery, but when they get to that age, they're hungry, they're like sponges, they want more, so that we are able to give that. So we also have quite a strong link with the school, obviously, and the children in the transition class start to engage more in school life. So we go to assemblies on a Friday, generally speaking. So we can have our assembly with the prep school children, so they get to know the environment, the teachers. We do, every term we have our own assembly, which is absolutely fantastic.
It's always quite
yeah, so the children might act out a story with moral, so they all dress up, they learn a little song, and we find, you know, they choose their parts actually, but we find a place for all of the children's ability. So if they're a little bit shy, they can do something that doesn't require them to be the centre of attention. And we welcome, obviously, the parents to come and look and see them and join in. So all the time we are transitioning towards a reception class. And we also have, on a Friday, generally speaking, those children would go in and have a short lesson with the reception class teacher, so they get to know the children in that class. So they've already made friends with them, and it's just a wonderful experience for them as well. So it's just, as I say, everything we're doing is trying to broaden their horizons, and then they start to get more interested in other things that perhaps didn't come along before.
Yeah. We're very fortunate because obviously being in rural Herefordshire, we have and at Lucton we have quite a fair bit of acreage.
Sorry,
is it fair to say that Lucton Nursery is quite an outdoors nursery?
Yes, it's a very much outdoors nursery. So all of the children and all of the staff have a pair of Wellingtons, and off we go every day. So really we use the outdoor environment as a learning environment and as a fun place to be. So there's, as Alex said, there's lots of space, there's lots of fresh air, and there's lots of ability to run and play. So we have a woodland, which we do, as I said before, have forest school sessions in there. We have an orchard, so we're always down there. And in the autumn season, we're always collecting apples, bringing them back for baking. So the children trundle them back to nursery in their little wheelbarrows. We have obviously we have our own meadow, so we have an early years meadow as well, which has got a fantastic pirate ship in it that the children love. We have our own little gardens, and obviously we're out and about in the school grounds all of the time, so either having stories under the trees, picnicking. There is the most amazing oak tree in the far field that's slightly hollow, so the children love to stand inside it and to rock it, or an armchair, or it just brings on their imagination, and that's what we want, is that lovely imagination.
Okay. One of the other things that parents will ask about is what are our staffing ratios for the different rooms?
Right. So the staff ratio is quite strict, and so it starts really, if I speak to you about the baby room first. So in the baby room, it's 1 member of staff to 3 children. Obviously, if we had 4 children in there, that would be 2 members of staff straight away. So it moves like that. So every time there's 1 more, there's another staff member in there. Generally speaking, there's 3 staff that work in there most of the time, and that, as I say, that is the highest ratio in the nursery. They then, if we move on above the age of 2, so their ratio is on a 1:4, so 1 adult to 4 children. And as they move through the nursery, that can change to when they reach their 3rd birthday, it can go to a 1:8. However, we try to, for the younger 3-year-olds, we try to still keep them on a 1:4 because we are their biggest resource. It's not about the toys, it's about the people to sit down, read you stories, help you to share, help you to enjoy things. And then in transition class, they are on a 1:8, although again, we try to keep our ratio as good as we can. So, and generally speaking, there's 2 members of staff always working in transition class as well, which is the oldest class in the nursery. So yes, the ratios are very important to us.
Fantastic. And then the last sort of question I've got for you this morning is sort of around, parents want to know about routines and naps, and how does that work? How would the sort of nursery routine work with the home routines better, only doing it 5 days a week?
Yes. So obviously we talk to the parents straight away to find out about the child's routine. So what we go on is their routine from home. So we always so we find out for the parents when they like to sleep, when they like to have their meals and things like that, and we accommodate that as best as we possibly can. So that when it's their sleep time, for the younger ones, there's cots, there's a little cot room for them, so they can have their own cot for the day. If they need a comforter, that is snuggled up with them in their cot. Some children will only sleep in buggies in the day, so we have plenty of buggies for children that like to be rocked off that way. So it's really a case of fitting in with their home routine as much as we can to begin with. We do find, however, that as the children are with us, they do fall into a little routine, and we find that in the mornings, the ladies that work in the baby room, for instance, will take them out for walks, so lots of fresh air, they come back, they have their snack, and often they will go to sleep because they've had lots of fresh air and their tummies are full. And then you know, lunchtime comes, we always feed the babies first, because the minute you get them in the high chair, they want it now. They're not prepared to wait. So they are always the first to be fed in the nursery. And then, as I say, there's obviously sleep times over lunchtime and in the afternoon as well. So we really follow what the parents want. Obviously, we try, you know, if the parents say we don't want them to go to sleep after 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we will do our best to keep them going. Can be difficult, but you know, we understand that it's important for both the child and the parent to have a good night's sleep as well. So, you know, we try to do our best with that as well. Yeah.
So last question, how the COVID virus, how in the nursery are we making changes and managing it and keeping our children and staff and parents all safe?
Right, okay, so we have an operational plan in place and we have lots of risk assessments in place. And what we have done is we've changed the arrival slightly, whereby before the COVID, you could walk straight up to the front door and ring the doorbell and a member of staff would let you in. Now you ring a doorbell at the front of a little picket fence that is around the front door entrance to the nursery, and there's hand gels and sanitizers there, so you ring that little doorbell. A member of staff will step into the picket fenced area, which is just surrounded by the front door, and greet you. She will obviously be the person that will be looking after your child, so they'll look through the window first to see who you are and make sure that the right member of staff is there to greet you. And then that member of staff will step forward into the picket fence area. You'll pop your child inside the picket fence, and you step back and we step forward, and we'll take them in. And often they're quite happy, they know us, they just run into the nursery. Obviously, if they are a baby in arms or a shy child or a little bit anxious, obviously we do have to step forward and you know, take the child from your arms. And we try to do that as quickly as possible. So without, you know, obviously we might turn away, and we do encourage parents to wear a mask anyway. But it's just done. It's smooth, but it's quick, and we just know what we're doing. So we can just take them into the nursery. Usually ask parents just to drop their snacks over the fence into a little box, and we at the moment we're asking parents not to bring in snack boxes, just a clear bag with their snack in with their name written on. And we're obviously encouraging parents not to bring a lot of bags in either. So when parents first start coming, we say, please, you know, if you've got spare clothes, sun cream, sun hats, or a comforter toy that can be left in nursery if they need it, bring that on the first day, and then we will ask you when it needs replenishing. So that's what we've done about arrivals, and that is the bigger risk. So that's why that's quite carefully done. The parents arrive through one door and they actually leave through another exit. So they come through the prep school playground into the prep school where the nursery is, and then they leave via the hall. Yep. So they're not having to backtrack where other parents are waiting. So that's done quite smoothly. And then in the nursery itself, we've now created bubble groups of, generally speaking, no more than 8. And they are staffed by, each group is staffed by 2 members of staff. And we never cross over the groups, and we never cross over the staff, so that if you've got a child that's in the baby room, it's going to be the same staff in that baby room throughout the week. And those staff don't go and work in another group, and none of those children will mix. So for outdoor play, they have their own garden area that they, per group, so they don't mix. And if we're going further afield, so out into the woods or the orchard or the meadows, then we know we take a walkie-talkie with us, and we know that we are away from other groups. So it's quite finely tuned from that point of view, so we don't bump into each other. And it works. The children are happy with it. The transition class have the meadow with the pirate ship in, and they build, there's a sort of like a marquee out there that they can go in. We spend a lot of time outside, so although we do use the indoor environment, certainly when they arrive, they come in, we're outside, and we've been lucky with the weather. So a lot of the activities that we're doing are done outside. Yeah. So that's the main changes. And obviously, you know, with lunches, we no longer go to the dining hall. It's delivered to the nursery front door. It's brought in. It's all carefully packed, and we unpack it wearing all our gloves and aprons. And so it's working. It's working. It's different.
Yes.
But the children have seemed to have embraced it. They're quite happy with it all. And so far, so good, really. Yeah.
Well, fantastic, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us, Irona. And I know
That's okay.
I know that if any parents have any questions, you're happy to talk to them.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, yeah. We'd love to welcome them. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Bye.
Bye.